Hello, happy, healthy people. Welcome. My name is Layla, and this video today is about the differences between men and women. But before we get started, I just want to say thank you for clicking on this video. And before we totally dive into this conversation, I want to cleanse our space. I have some Palo Santo here, some holy sacred stick. And I just want to give everyone watching an opportunity to let go, to release what is no longer serving you. Leave it behind. Say thank you and goodbye. And as we release and let go, let's take 3 deep breaths. All the way out. Now, I've got a notebook here with some notes that I want to share. And it's all about answering this question: what is the difference between men and women? First, I'm going to talk about why it matters, okay? Because I think that it's a very common belief in our society today that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that men and women are different. We should treat them as the same, and we should see them in society acting the same, in the same familial roles. They should be treated the same in healthcare situations. They should act the same in professional settings. Same. And what I've found in my experience is that that way of thinking is actually really harmful, because it ignores this huge biological reality that men and women are different. And that's not something to be afraid of. It's not something to feel fear about. It's not something taboo. It's actually where our strengths lie. And I'm not saying that men or women are different in any sort of a hierarchical way. It's simply a biological fact. And so today, this video is going to be the differences between men and women from a hormonal perspective, okay? So obviously, or I hope this is obvious, the main difference between men and women is how we reproduce, how we sexually reproduce and create offspring, okay? Because we do this differently, it means that we're different. And our reproductive systems, governed by our endocrine systems, are made up of different hormones. Those hormones, by the way, affect everything. Our hormones affect our sleep, our wakefulness, our digestion, our mood, our energy levels, even our muscle and bones, our ability to make decisions, our cognitive and mental function, all of this affected by hormones. So our hormones are different in our endocrine system, which creates a different way of reproducing, which manifests physically in different physical anatomy. I think I'm going to make a separate video about differences in men's and women's physical anatomy, but today let's just talk about hormones. So hormones are little messengers that are sent through glands in our bodies, and like I said, they govern everything, okay? So let's talk about men for a moment. Men have a hormonal cycle. I feel like a lot of people don't know this, but men have a hormonal cycle. Their hormonal cycle lasts 24 hours. It has a flow and a pattern that is consistent in each cycle and varies throughout the duration of the cycle. So at the beginning of a man's cycle, which is in the morning, their testosterone is going to peak. I'm trying to show you. Their testosterone is going to peak. Throughout the day, it will remain high and then begin to fall, falling through the late afternoon to the evening, and then coming to its lowest point in that late evening nighttime. I know what you're thinking. Wait, doesn't that line up perfectly with the modern capitalist workday? Yes. The man's hormonal cycle literally aligns with the flow of the 9-to-5 job. So this is completely not an accident. All of this is intentional, right? Men have been in power in our society. They've designed things to work in a way that works for their body. They feel naturally energetic in the morning, and then by the evening time, they want to rest. And this pattern repeats every single day. Okay? Let's talk about the female hormonal cycle. For women, the hormonal cycle lasts anywhere from maybe 26 to 30 days, on average 28 days. It's different for each woman. But this is very, very, very different than the male cycle, okay? Now, we might know more about the female hormonal cycle because it has a name, the menstrual cycle, right? Whereas we don't really have a name that's in common usage for the male hormonal cycle. Now, the menstrual cycle has a lot of shame and taboo wrapped into it. So I just want to acknowledge that we've probably all been told stories about menstruating, about being weak or emotional when we're on our periods, about being crazy and sensitive before we bleed. And these are stories we've been told we're dirty when we're bleeding and we need to hide it and keep it from people, not show them our blood, right? And these are all stories that I was told growing up. Maybe you were told them too. But they're just stories. They're not true. They're not real, okay? Because the menstrual cycle is the hallmark of a healthy woman. If we can have a healthy menstrual cycle, it is our monthly health report card about our overall and general health. So menstrual health is actually the foundation of women's health. I'm going to make a lot more videos about this. So if you're interested, go ahead and subscribe now to my channel. Now, the menstrual cycle, because it lasts about 28 days, we'll call it on average, each day is different. So on each of those 28 days, a woman is experiencing a very unique ratio of hormones. So just like the male hormonal cycle had peaks, plateaus, and plummets, we also in our menstrual cycle have those same fluctuations, and they are predictable and they are consistent throughout our cycles. So each cycle is going to have that general pattern. How it looks for women, we don't just have that one sex hormone like men do, which is testosterone. We have actually at least 4 really main hormones. And so one of the most common ones is estrogen. Estrogen is really interesting because it is in charge of so many different parts of our body, not just our reproductive system. So estrogen is going to slowly rise at the beginning of our cycle. It's then going to peak and then fall. Whereas we have another hormone that's called progesterone. That one is going to peak later while estrogen is lowering and then also drop. Now, the lowest point for all of our hormones throughout our menstrual cycle is our bleeding time. So day 1 of your cycle is the day you begin bleeding. Not spotting, not a half day of bleeding, but a full day of bleeding. That's day 1. And on this day, you're going to have the lowest hormones. They're going to be completely flatlined. Now, a lot of women talk about being on their cycle as while they're bleeding. However, our cycle is lasting that entire 28 days, that entire month, that entire moon. And we are oftentimes very preoccupied with that bleed time. However, it's really important to understand that every day is part of our cycle. And that actually that culmination of the cycle happens 2 weeks after we begin menstruating, which is when we ovulate. So ovulation is when a lot of hormones in our body are at their peak. This is when we feel and look the best. So this is that goddess time, right? And we are goddesses all throughout our cycle, but that goddess archetype really shines through here because we're so fertile and we're so open. And oftentimes ovulation is when women are more articulate, more expressive, more social. Whereas during our menstrual bleeding time, oftentimes we're more intuitive, more introverted. Sometimes we even want to seek a bit of a refuge, a bit of an exile, a bit of a retreat from society. So these differences that happen throughout our cycle are going to actually make a big difference in how a woman's life looks compared to a man. So while a man might be able to do the same things every single day, feel the same way every single day, eat the same food every single day, us women are built different. And it's beautiful because it gives us an opportunity to check in with ourselves on each day throughout our cycle and look how we can uniquely support that day. How am I feeling right now in this moment? And what can I do to support my body right here, right now? So you can hopefully by now see that understanding these hormonal differences between men and women changes everything. And especially for us women, and for me personally in my life, understanding how my body worked hormonally was a game changer. Because I used to feel really emotional sometimes, really driven and focused other times. I used to get total headaches and stomach aches sometimes, and other times feel like stomach of steel. I could eat anything, bang on my head, no problem, wear a tight ponytail, stay up all night. And so these differences, once we understand them, they can empower us. Whereas in the past, maybe I would feel really crazy, really sensitive, almost bipolar, just shifting all of the time. I can now see my cyclical, rhythmic nature, predict it, live my life accordingly, and support my body appropriately. So I'm going to make more videos about this idea of living in tune with our hormonal cycles and making peace with our bodies. If that resonates with you, then please like this video and comment below. Did you learn something new about men and women? Have you been told a similar story by society that we're all the same, no differences? If so, what do you hear in this video that sounds like an actual difference, that has a real physical manifestation? Because like I said, I really believe that when we begin to understand the ways that we are different, we can choose to support and strengthen each other based in real biological reality. So thank you so much for watching and clicking on this video. Comment below what you learned, and I'll see you next time. Stay full, stay happy.